Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ podcast. We are in Lakewood, New Jersey, because today we just had our fundraiser for Next Rung, and it went better than I thought it was going to go for the first one out of the gate, so I'm super excited about that. And we are at Elite Emergency Lighting. They were a huge sponsor today to make this happen for Next Rung, and I've been so excited to get you on the program, and I said I was going to make it out to Georgia, but you ended up coming to Jersey before I got to Georgia.
Yeah.
So, you know that whole Devil Went Down to Georgia thing? So it's going to have to wait.
It's a great song.
Yeah, it's going to have to wait. So here he is. I know a lot of people that are following PintheQ on Instagram and also on Facebook. They know who you are. They know what Next Rung is, and they know what Next Rung's mission is. Because of me, I've been pushing that very hard, and I believe so much in your program and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. But what's even more special about this particular episode is they're going to get to meet you and learn who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, which, again, that's the important part. So, Blake, welcome, brother.
Thanks,
Finally,
man.
welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and, I mean, today was awesome, man. I mean, I know we could always wish and hope for bigger, but, I mean, it's a great start, man. I mean, you got to start somewhere is what I always say, and regardless of if you have 1,000 people or you have 20, I mean, people are understanding and hearing the message and, you know, knowing that they have people here for them, which is huge. So we're grateful, man. We got to start somewhere, and I'm glad and grateful to be starting here with you, man, you know, like just doing this kind of stuff, and the brotherhood and just the support that you've shown, man, like it just blows my mind, and I'm grateful for it. And I know Charlie is too, man. He wasn't able to make it. Our co-director actually lives on the West Coast, just right below LA County, and his flight got delayed by like 5 hours. They were trying to fix the weather instrument. They couldn't get it fixed, and then they canceled the flight on like 320-something people, he told me. So we missed you, Charlie. Sorry you couldn't be here, man. But
such a good guy. I'm so glad I met Charlie in Indianapolis through FDIC. Just just solid, man. Solid person, and a good firefighter and good brother.
Great guy. Mm-hmm.
But so today, it was so awesome. We were able to raise $1,480. Not too shabby for a first event, like you said.
Fantastic, man.
And that's going to such a good cause. Yeah. So Blake, take me back, brother, because you know what this show is all about, man. It's about firefighting and the craft, if you will. So take me back to when it all started for you, before Next Rung, right?
Yeah.
Before any of this Instagram stuff, and how did it all start for you becoming a firefighter?
Man, so I grew up around firefighting, volunteer actually. The county that I still live in, and I actually work there part-time now. It was all volunteer at one point. My dad volunteered, and my mom actually volunteered as well for a few years. Yeah. Oh, wow. And then she kind of backed out of it because they were in the same company, and they didn't ever want anything to happen to where they both wouldn't be there for their kids if something were to happen. So anyway, my mom kind of stepped down from that, but my dad continued for several years, probably till I was about 10 or 11. And so I grew up around that, man. As always, you know, just running around the firehouse as a kid, you know, getting in the back of an open-air Han cab, it's man, great memories for sure. So, I mean, I did grow up around it. My dad never went career because it didn't pay enough, so he kept his job and just kept volunteering. For me, man, in 2010, I really tried to get hired on right after I got married to my wife, and it didn't work out for a few years, so kind of put that on the back burner. And, you know, through that time, man, like I've always wanted to make an impact on first responders in some way, and I guess my thought process was you can't do that unless you're in it and you know and understand it. So in 2015, I applied again with Gwinnett County, which is where I started down in Georgia, just a suburb right outside of Atlanta. So I started there, and that was where my career started in 2015. I volunteered for 3 years as well, back from 2010 to 2013. Okay. So understand both sides of it, the volunteer world and the career side, and I'm grateful for both sides of it. It's all the brotherhood. It's all great people. So, so 2015, I became a firefighter and paramedic, and I guess the rest is history. Currently, I work for Sandy Springs Fire. We're right beside the city of Atlanta. So
Okay.
yeah.
So did you ever expect any of this?
Not at all. Kind of the furthest thing from my mind ever doing something like this. I mean, I just had, in 2015, just gotten into the fire service and yeah, no, not at all. I never would have expected this whatsoever.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And was it when you started the fire department, when you transferred, a transition, I should say, from volunteer to career, was it what you expected, or was it all new to you culture-wise?
No, I mean, I guess I had an idea of what to expect. I talked with people and knew people who had been through the academy and things like that. I'm definitely grateful for my volunteer time, but the career aspect of it, I love, man, just being able to wake up every day, like knowing that's my job, it's exciting. I love the fact and humbled by the fact that I get paid to do it. So,
it's like an extra bonus.
it's been great. I kind of knew what the tradition was like and how to upkeep that. And I guess I knew my role as a young firefighter, as a rookie firefighter, kind of kept my mouth shut, did what I was supposed to do, ask questions when it was appropriate, and,
all important stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and I think that volunteer part, or that volunteer time, definitely helped with that.
Oh, definitely,
It prepares you.
Yeah. I knew what to expect because of it,
Yeah,
so.
definitely. Now, when you were in the fire, when you were in the career as a career firefighter, and what made you do the paramedic thing? Was that just something that was required, or was that an extra step?
It was, yeah. So Gwinnett, where I started, actually required it. The class before me, or maybe two classes before me, they had a choice between advanced EMT and becoming a paramedic. We didn't have the option, so I had to, which I'm grateful for, because if I wouldn't have had to, I probably would never go and get it on my own. So I'm grateful for the knowledge. I'm grateful for, that experience, but definitely love the fire side a lot more, and I figured that out. And it's not that I was a bad medic. I just knew, where my interests were, and that was one of the reasons that I left Gwinnett and went to Sandy Springs, is because they don't transport, and I just would be able to dedicate more time to the fire aspect of it, or the rescue side. So I'm at the Tech Rescue House and do ropes, extrication, swift water, and things like that, which is, man, I love. So
yeah, it's fun. Is it? I mean, the good thing about what you're doing is you get to travel a little bit.
Yeah,
so you
definitely
get to meet new firefighters all over the place and see how everyone else does things, right?
Yeah,
and that's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, I love the culture, and I actually wrote a little article on just the fact of how the brotherhood is from coast to coast. I mean, it's insane. And a lot of people are like, man, the brotherhood's dead. Things like this, or going to FDIC, or meeting people, like yourself, who are so enthusiastic and involved. Man, the brotherhood's so alive. Sometimes you just kind of, open your eyes just a little bit wider from around where you are.
Right.
Because sometimes you're like, you just get a little bit depressed, or I don't know, a little salty about where you are at the moment, or
absolutely.
your crew, or whatever it may be, your department. But man, the brotherhood's incredible, man. So I love seeing the different aspects of, just different departments and how they do things. Everybody's got their own thing that they do, which is cool. So.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's got their own little way, little culture, if you will.
Yeah.
So walk me into this whole Next Rung idea. How'd this all happen for you?
Man, so in 2017, like I said, I mean, really one of the main reasons of entering into the fire service is obviously, man, I have a servant's heart. I don't just say that to brag about myself. It doesn't matter if I'm picking up chairs, or if whatever it may be, I just love to serve, hands on, and give back. So naturally, I feel like the fire service was a good fit for that. And, so I love the fire service as a whole, and wanted to give back to the fire service and first responders as a whole, which is kind of what it's developed into. But, my first thought was the fire service, honestly, because that's what I grew up and loved and was interested in. I wanted to give back to those guys, to people like myself. And, so that was kind of the whole idea that sparked, how can I make a difference? How can I give back to the people like us, because we give back to the community. That's our job. We serve the community, and we go out and we work for our community. Like that's
right.
our job, you know, to go to rescue these people, to take care of them, you know, et cetera. But I wanted to make a difference in the first responders, the firefighters, and EMS and things like that. So, so I guess I already had that going. And 6 months into my rookie year, there's a guy. He ended up actually taking his life. And he was married, had 2 daughters, and this was a guy that, you know, going through rookie school, he came up out of the field, he would teach, and I got to know him, you know, over a 12-month span, and he was a great guy, always smiling, laughing, you know, cutting up, and just someone that you wanted to be around, you know. And but anyway, like I said, 6 months into my rookie year, after I got into the field, he ended up taking his life, and it just really impacted me. And we weren't best friends, you know, we knew each other and worked together and things like that, but it just really impacted me in the fact that you just don't ever know what people are going through, like internally, like you don't know like what's going on in their mind.
Right.
And so that really just impacted me, like, man, like how can I help prevent that, or how can I help stop that? And I guess, you know, there's really not a way to stop it, but I mean, what can I do to alleviate some of that, you know? So anyway, and I've always had an interest in psychology, counseling, things like that. I have an undergrad in psychology, and it's just always been something I love talking with people. So I guess all those mixtures together kind of created the idea of Next Rung. Originally, I was going to just sell apparel and donate back to an organization.
And now you're the organization that people are donating to.
Yeah, so, and I couldn't find one that I wanted to donate my money back to that was, you know, dealing with that issue. So 6 months into it, and I brought Charlie on, our co-director, and we, you know, I tossed the idea. I was like, hey man, you know, this is what we've been doing, but here's where I would like to go with it. You know, would you be on board with that? Because I know that's a big undertaking, you know, and he was on board with it. And so we worked on becoming a nonprofit, and we got our nonprofit status right at the end of 2017. In 2018, last year was our first year as a nonprofit, offering the peer support and financial assistance for licensed counseling. And then towards the end of 2018 is when we started giving back to families of first responders who took their life by suicide. So,
and again, you're, you know, I'd say this over and over, but your mission is so important, and it's so, like you said, it's impactful. It's certainly for the fire service, but when you started doing this and you realized what a huge undertaking this is that you're taking on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't easy.
Right.
It's not easy work what you're doing. The first few incidents that occurred, the people you were helping, the people you impacted, tell me what that was like for you.
Man, you know, I guess I set out, man, like, and Charlie and I said this together. It's like, dude, if we can change one person's life, like, I'll consider it a win. Like, I don't have to do anything else the rest of my life. Like, and I would consider, you know, that a huge success for the fire service. And that happened in December of 2017. We had our first person come to us in need of help, you know, and he was on the verge of taking his own life. Like, I mean, scary, you know, I mean, like, because you look at it, you're like, dude, like, I mean, you don't realize it at the time, you know, because you're just trying to talk these people through, you know, what's going on, but then you go back and think about it, and yeah, I mean, it was just right there on the verge. So we, you know, I talked with him, you know, just kind of backed him off the ledge, so to speak, and this guy's actually a wildland firefighter, and so honestly, man, I was like, who do I reach out to, because I don't know this life. You know, Charlie is obviously being on the West Coast. He started at CAL FIRE, has that wildland experience, but we're trying to figure out, you know, who knows this life, and we could, you know, really connect with someone. And we actually ended up connecting with Eric Marsh Foundation. So Amanda Marsh actually got us in touch with someone that she knew that was a counselor out his way, and we got him hooked up with that counselor. And I mean, just completely turned his life around, you know, like 180, man. So that was our first person, and he still messages me, or he'll text me, man. He's got a little baby now. Like, it's, man, it's incredible. So to see that and to know that he's there for that is absolutely incredible. And there's a few stories like that, you know, that people, one of the things that we do after we walk people through our peer support process, or we help them in any way, is we send them a care package. It's got one of our green T-shirts in it, a challenge coin, a keychain, and things like that that says Change Lives Campaign. And, you know, it's like, hey, man, you know, if you if you can grab a picture, I'd love to post it, that kind of thing. And
Right.
then they end up sending me a picture and in that shirt, and below it says, "Hey man, post it if you want. This is a suicide that didn't happen because of you."
Wow.
Like that just pierces your heart, man. And I just am humbled, and it's not just myself that gets messages like that. It's Charlie as well. There's so many times, where we're both just, answering phone calls or answering text messages. Sometimes it's 4 or 5 the same day, so we're kind of juggling back and forth between people and things like that. And it's humbling, man. It's very sobering when you have that aspect of it. And obviously everyone's case isn't that serious. There's some people who come into it as well, and they're like, "Hey man, I just want to, bounce some things off of you," and they're good to go, man. I talked to him for, maybe an hour, or Charlie talks to him for, holds a conversation over a day, and they're like, "Hey man, thanks for that. I'm good to go now. I appreciate what you do." And, they move on. So, and then there's some people that we walk through the entire process, and then we line them up with a licensed counselor and, just continue the process and get them all the help that they need. So,
And I think it's good that you just said, what you said about the licensed counselor, because it's important for people to understand that if someone's in true crisis, they need that medical help, and they need that professional help. As us as firefighters, it's great that we're pushing people in the right direction and motivating and being able to talk to people peer to peer.
Yeah.
But once we recognize that this is, clinical,
Correct.
we need to make sure we get the right resources to these people so they can get the help they need.
And I think that's a great thing about the peer support aspect of it. So, like, when you call our number, you text our number, you're getting a first responder on the other side of that. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, like, "Hey man, I just want to talk to someone who is like me, who understands like what I'm going through." And that's great. I completely understand that as well, because if you and I are to sit down and talk, like, we understand each other,
Absolutely,
and it really helps kind of, break the ice into something that, can continue to develop, as far as, it just is more comfortable, to start talking to someone who understands you.
Absolutely.
And then the more you talk and you kind of open
they
up,
understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the more you talk and open up, you kind of start to open their eyes to the fact that, okay, maybe a licensed counselor wouldn't be a bad idea. And then, we have some people hell-bent on, I don't want to speak to a licensed counselor because it doesn't work. I've tried that before, which is fine too. So, I mean, we've seen both aspects of it. We don't force that on people. If we see that we think that they should make that move, then we'll suggest it, but we don't ever force it on people. And some people are very, accepting of it, and they're, grateful for it, and they want to do that. And if they don't, then we don't force that. We just continue to develop that process with them and walk, with them through that time. So,
Yeah, not every incident is clinical.
Correct.
Sometimes, brothers and sisters just want to talk to like-minded people,
Exactly.
who understand and, have the same, same job or same sort of job,
Sure.
maybe, but definitely feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's no different to me than, a bunch of firefighters around a kitchen table. We're all talking about the same thing, and we've all experienced the same thing. So there's much more buy-in,
Right.
so you feel like what you're saying is understood.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the person on listening has been in that situation at one
definitely.
time or another, For example, recently I was driving on the Parkway, which is, for us, it's highway, and I saw the brothers on the side of the road from another company, and I could tell based on what I saw driving by, it was a fatal.
Yeah.
You can just tell.
Right.
And you had a couple guys, right outside the engine, and a couple of them had their heads down, a few of them had their heads, bowed, looking into the woods. So it's like I can immediately put myself in their position, because I know exactly what they're looking at, and I know what they just either observed or did.
Right.
And it stuck with me a little bit on the way to work, because I'm like, man, I know exactly what happened there, and later on I'd heard that it was a fatal, and the company was out there did a good job, and they did what they could, but sometimes you can't.
Yep. Yeah.
But
definitely.
it's interesting how we have that bond, or we understand that part of it.
Correct.
That's what's important. I think that in what you're doing, and people buy into what you're doing, and because they understand that you understand. Mm-hmm. Would you say that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the buy-in is coming. Is slow, but it definitely is becoming more accepted, I think, and someone even asked me that tonight, have you met any resistance or retention or anything like that? And I mean, we haven't. We don't have people coming up and saying, like, you can't do this or anything like that. There are still people out there that are like, hey, man, like, and they're like, oh, PTSD is not real or whatever. You have people who believe, certain things, and they're like, oh, they just, I don't know if they just want to ignore the fact as a whole, or if they choose to believe it, then they have to accept it for themselves as well. I don't know what it is. So
Right.
I wouldn't say that we meet resistance, we just, we just want to be here to help people, and I think we've met resistance in the fact of, when I talk about what we do and people already have a peer support team, like, oh, no, well, we already have a peer support team. We don't need anything else. And I'm like, well, who does your peer support team talk to? Who do they decompress to after they've already helped the people that they work with? So we're not here to take over. You'll hear myself and Charlie say that. We're not here to take over or, be the person up front. We just want to be a secondary resource to the department or to people, because everything that we do is completely anonymous. Like, I mean, it doesn't get back to anywhere whatsoever. Like, it doesn't leave myself or Charlie, whoever's speaking with them. It never leaves and goes any further than that. So,
and that's the trust. That's huge.
I think that helps, because people are like, well, I don't really trust, it's not the fact that they don't trust the people that they work with. They just don't want people to know, because they don't know how that's going to affect their career, or how people are going to look at them. So we do offer that. It's completely anonymous, like 100%, unless they say, hey, you're welcome to post this or whatever it may be. But even if we get people to do a testimonial or anything like that, we'll never put their name on it or anything like that, so we want to continue to maintain people's trust and let them know that 100% without a doubt, like, this goes no further than you and I talking.
Well, you obviously know how important this is for me to be part of your organization. Even a small part that I'm a part of, to me it's important. And I just want to share the story with you, because I think you'll understand how important this is to me. Recently, someone reached out to me, a firefighter, and they were telling me, they're not doing good, right? Now, this is someone that I had never in a million years would have ever thought that this person was having problems. So at first, I was really taken back. And then when this person started to tell me what they were going through, I knew it was real. And the first thing I said was, listen, are you okay? And he goes, I'm all right. I go, no. I mean, like, I need to know. Before I hang up this phone, man. Are you okay?
Right.
Because I'm not a licensed counselor. I'm not, I'm just a brother, and I don't have the training, So I wanted to know that and I said, look, I can get resources, and I'm going to do that, but I need to know that you're okay, and then that was a tremendous burden on me. Not burden. That's not the right word, but it was a tremendous strain on me emotionally, because I needed to know that this guy was going to be okay when I hung up the phone. He assured me he was. And, I hung up with him immediately, called, got someone, got a doctor. He made the appointment, called me the next day. He had like a 10 o'clock in the morning an appointment already. Like, that fast. That's how quick, everything worked. And I'm happy to report that he's currently in therapy. He's doing really well. I just got an update from him, and he told me the reason he reached out to me was not because we were friends, but because of my relationship with Next Rung, and he'd watched previous episodes.
That's awesome.
And that he sees me giving out these Next Rung brochures and talking about Next Rung, and that's the reason he reached out to me, because of my relationship with you and Next Rung. So for me, when you talk about what's your buy-in, or what makes it real for you, and what impact it's make, for me, I can tell you that for me was the deal.
And that's encouraging, man. To hear that, and we've had people the same. They message us, and like, we have people message us with happy stories, and that's what I don't ever want people to think, like, oh, Next Rung, that's so solemn or so sad. Like, Dude, like I've been in the middle of conversations with people literally who are gonna take their life, and like we're laughing on the other end of the phone because they say something that you and I would find funny because we're first responder, we're firefighters. Like, dude, like, all right, I'm gonna laugh at that, and he's like, dude, thank you for laughing. He's like, I don't feel so weird now, and things like that. But we have people who message us and they're like, hey, because of you and the message that you put out, I've gotten help on my own. I know I didn't talk with you, but I just want to tell you thank you, for encouraging, me talking to someone else, encouraging that fact that I should reach out and talk to someone and things like that. So by all means, like, we're not looking for everyone to come to us because there's probably no way that we could handle it anyway. We couldn't handle all the people coming in. As of now, and as we continue to expand our team and things like that, that's great. But I mean, we're just, a small ripple in the pond, man, a small ripple, so we're just trying to just change as many lives as we can over time. And we never, it doesn't matter.
And you are.
Yeah.
You are changing lives, man. And that, you've proven that, and I know firsthand, not only being part of your organization now, but just to, see my own personal story with this guy calling me, man. And I was shocked by that. Yeah, I really was.
And I think you and I have talked about this, a couple of different times. But when people call and talk to you, and you'd mentioned this, like, it's therapeutic for me. Like, I'm walking through, this conversation with these people, and it helps me recall stuff. It helps me, continue just to kind of, push through some of the things that I've seen, that I've dealt with personally, So, all around, dude, it helps me just as much as it helps other people. And, man, I'm just, like I told you, I'm just grateful to be here. And I always tell people it's my pleasure, and thank you for trusting us with your story, because without a doubt, like, that's the truth. I'm like, hey, thank you for trusting us with your story, because you didn't have to trust us. And so it's important to us that we continue to maintain that trust with everyone that we speak with. So, we value them, we value their story, and, we just always want them to know that, they have someone to talk to. It doesn't matter if you don't have someone in your department to talk to. You can always call and talk to us, text us, whatever it may be. But we wanted to have and provide a resource for people that with no second thought, that they could always say, well, you know what? I know I can't, right. I know I can't talk to this person, but I can call these people, and we've had that, and we're grateful to be here, man. I don't think I can say that enough, just how grateful we are to be here for everyone that calls in or texts in or messages us on Instagram or Facebook or sends an email, whatever it may be. So we're definitely grateful, man. We have a great board of directors that surrounds us, and helps us with that. We have an actual licensed counselor that serves on our board of directors, and Amanda's great. She's got over 15 years of experience in specializing in trauma. So we bounce a lot of ideas off of her as well.
Right.
So we have some really good direction and just some great people around us, man. You're one of those great people, and I told you this, man. Like, there's some people that you meet and you're like, man, that's a really cool person. And like, there's some people that you meet and like instantly, like, man, like, I like that guy. Like, and it's just like, the friendship and the, dude, we're brothers. Like, I can't, thank you enough for the support that you've given us and just backing us from day one, when we started talking and chatting on Instagram. So, man, like, without you and without people like you that continue to spread our message, the people wouldn't know about us. But because of that, and because we can use your platform, or like today, Pip from 555 came in and spoke about the physical health, and we believe that's important as well. We believe that the physical health and mental health intertwine together, and it's extremely important for you to have both of those. And because physically, if you're fit, like, it tends to help you mentally,
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Relieve stress, things like that. If you feel good about yourself, then that helps your mentality. But if you're mentally healthy, and you're rested and you're feeling, good mentally, then physically, like, you want to be in better shape. You want to make sure that you can perform the job and do the things and be there for your family and things like that. So the two definitely go hand in hand. So to share a platform with him is huge. To share a platform with John from Are You Ready? Like that's huge, man. Like we're so grateful for that, and grateful for you putting all that stuff together. And I know you're not looking for me to pat you on the back by any means, and we didn't talk about this whatsoever, but I'm grateful, man, because of people like you who just continue to surround us and support us. Like never in a million years did I think we would have the support that we do. So it just continues to blow my mind. Charlie and I talk about that often. He's like, dude, the support that we have, like the support system around us is absolutely incredible, and I agree 100%, dude. We couldn't do it without you guys. So
and for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an obvious thing for me to be part of. It's so important, it really is. And like I looked around today, we had the people who were here at this event. It was a lot to put together, but honestly, as soon as it kicked off, and I had a chance to look around and see the people out in our room, and we had some heavy hitters in the fire service in this room today. I mean, it was just so nice to look around and see some of these people here. Like, are you kidding me? Like, they're here. And that was great because, to me, they were here for you, you know, and that's important. Like, it wasn't for any other reason but to support Next Rung and your mission and your organization. So, when you have guys like for Pip, for example, when I asked him if he'd come on and speak, he's like, yeah. Like I'm like, okay. I thought I was gonna have to twist his arm a little bit, and it wasn't. The same thing with Sahatchin, same thing with John with the Are You Ready? He's like, yeah, of course, and neither one of those guys got paid today.
No,
they donated
not at all.
They got donated all their time to be here, which again, that to me is that's the buy-in, right? So if you're doing this stuff for nothing, and for all the right reasons, certainly not for the money, but for the right reasons. And then all the vendors that showed up, I mean, everybody wanted to be part of this. Yeah, dude. It was great.
Grateful, man, and we've gotten to meet quite a few of those people, a time or two, and man, just great people here that weren't even vendors or weren't speaking. Like they were just sitting out in the crowd. I mean, some big hitters there too.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
So like that, man,
absolutely.
It puts a smile on my face, man. And the friendships, dude, that we built. And I don't know what it is about New Jersey, dude. There's something completely different. I always say that there's something in the water up here. And I don't know what it is, dude, but you guys definitely produce some incredible firefighters, but people who just want to continue to, I don't know, man, leave, I guess, their fingerprint or their mark on the fire service or just make it a difference somehow, which is great, man. So to be surrounded by you guys, to be able to come up here and hang out and, meet some people. And, I landed in Philly and we drove up. You're like, hey, man, stop by and see
Captain Eckert.
Captain Bobby Eckert.
Oh,
so
man.
we were actually about 45 minutes this way. And Rob Meyer from Ridgeway Leatherworks.
Another great guy, man.
Been hanging out with him. He's been giving me a tour of the whole state. We've covered the entire state, I think, at this point. But he's like, you know what, man? Like, screw it. Let's turn around. Let's go back.
It was worth it to turn around.
Yeah,
man.
So we went back and we got to talk with Captain Eckert and just hang out and listen to him.
Yeah.
And,
well, he texted me because he's like, hey, man, he's like, is he still in Philly? I'm like, yeah, because I was following Rob on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's in Philly. He's just picked him up at the airport. He's like, oh, man, you got to tell him to stop by. I'm working. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. So I literally got off the text with him. I started messaging you, or no, I messaged Rob. I'm like, yo, turn around, go over and see Bobby. And then he didn't respond right away, but then you did.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, I'm so far away. And I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, I did. We turned around. We're like, man, he's like, dude, you're only up here. He's like, you might as well do it, So we did. We got to talk with him for about an hour, and then we headed back up this way.
He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, went up to Liberty State Park today, and saw the skyline, things like that. Man, it's been a great time. But
had I known you were there, I could have hooked you up with Chief Gorman.
Yeah,
out in Jersey City.
It won't be our only time here.
No, you got to come back.
Yeah,
definitely.
We got to come
so
back
many
and
people
bring Charlie.
Dude, so many people we got to meet. And then,
but there's something special about you guys over here, man. So good for you guys. I don't know what it is, but don't tell your secrets.
Nah, we can't tell our secrets from Jersey, So. And I was happy. And what did you have for breakfast this morning? Tell everybody what you had for breakfast this morning.
I had a pork roll.
See, pork roll.
It was delicious.
There, I was telling Blake there's a whole thing in Jersey about like pork roll or Taylor ham. It's this whole thing, So he's kind of blown away by that whole thing. And then I mentioned there's a website too that
That's awesome.
yeah. So it's kind of a big deal here. So
Well,
that's,
forever in my heart, it will be a pork roll. So you Northerners up there, I'm sorry.
so you're gonna make a lot of people happy by
Yeah.
saying pork roll. By saying pork roll.
Yeah, just yell it out at the top of my lungs. So.
So now that you're, you and Charlie, we got to talk at FDIC, which was awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
But now that you're in the position you're in, looking at what you've accomplished since you started Next Rung, did you ever expect
No.
it to be what it is right now?
No, I mean, I guess there's always that hope, like when you put your eggs in that basket, so to speak, like, all right, like I'm going to go for this, but, like, I don't know, like, why would people want to buy my shirt? Like, why would they want to buy a Next Rung shirt, or why would they want to take a picture with me? I'm like, dude, there's so many other cool people that you could, stop by their booth for FDIC or whatever it may be. And even here, like today, man, like just people like coming up saying thank you or whatever it may be. Like, dude, I never in a million years would have dreamed of that, and, dude, it's humbling, man. Like, and I always through this, and I say this a lot to Charlie, but it's more to remind myself, man. I was like, hey, let's stay humble, keep our head down, and just keep doing what we're doing. Like, it doesn't matter if, we have, 10 people that we helped that year, if we help 100 people or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what our following looks like on Facebook or Instagram. It's not, a numbers driven thing. We just, man, like I've told you over and over again, we want to make a difference and we just want to make an impact. So, but no, I mean, Charlie and I, talk about that. It's like, dude, I can't believe, that we're making the impact that we are, and so it's great, man. And there's so many other great companies out there. There's a lot of great other organizations out there, and we're not trying to be in the limelight by any means. And some people kind of will, throw other names out there, it's just like people who don't have pages or anything, but just, people who are making comments. And I'm like, yeah, dude, they're great people. I was like, I'm not here to compete with anyone by any means.
It's definitely not a competition.
No, dude.
No,
I
absolutely
mean,
not.
The more that we can do together, like that's the greatest thing.
Yeah,
Like, there's
absolutely.
just so much room to share, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way that one organization or one company could handle the entire fire service.
No.
Much less first responders as a whole. So, yeah, but dude, blown away, man. I mean,
Like FDIC, you see so many people walking around with your shirts on.
yeah,
What's that like?
insane, man. Yeah, like I never would have dreamed that, and every time I fulfill orders, I do all the shipping out of my upstairs office above my garage, and my wife helps me, pack stuff up, and there's like 40 orders that week, and I'm just like, golly, like I mean. They just keep coming in, which is great. The support, I mean, we will never turn away support, and we're grateful for that. And, obviously our mission is to tackle the mental health aspect of the fire service and first responders and things like that. But, I mean, I love hats, dude.
Me too.
I have a hat problem.
Me too. I absolutely have a hat problem. So,
dude, yeah,
yes, I do.
Even on this trip, I brought like 10 hats, and I'm here for 3 days. It's like, you can't wear 10 hats in 3 days. So... I mean, we're always, we love the apparel side of it too, because we want people to, wear our brand to continue to raise that awareness. And so one of the things that we did and, that we kind of pioneered, so to speak, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, is the green idea. We didn't make up the green color for mental health. It's actually the color for mental health awareness, which is in May coming up. So, but instead of it being once a month, we wanted, or once a month, instead of it being, 1 month out of the year, we wanted to make it every week. So I came up with the idea of Green Monday.
I love Green Monday.
And I was like, dude, we got to do something to raise more awareness for, what we're here to challenge and to go against. So that's where Green Monday came from, so that we could wear a color to, raise more awareness. And it's taken off, man. It's been great. We run out of shirts or hats or whatever it may be. Anything with green on it, man, we run out of. So
that's good.
We're constantly having to print more shirts or do more hats and things like that. So I love that aspect of it.
Right.
But I have to remind myself that's not why we're here. But it is fun. I love the apparel side of it as well. And as crazy as I, try to get or want to pull my hair out about shipping stuff out, dude, we're incredibly grateful that people want to wear something with Next Rung on it and help spread our mission. So the more shirts and hats that we sell or bracelets or whatever it may be, I mean, stickers that go out, you know, we love it, man. So it just helps spread our mission and further it further and further and further.
So let me ask you this, and my program, I ask some tough questions, but does it weigh on you at all, like having that, not stress, but having that thought that your phone can ring at any moment?
Yeah.
And there could be someone on the other end of that line, and it could change your whole day.
Oh yeah, definitely. It does, man. Like, I mean, even when you're getting set up for this, like I'm texting with somebody, you know, so it's continuous. You know, and
does it take a toll on you at all? Does it weigh on you at all?
It does, man. You know,
because listen, you're also a firefighter.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
It does, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, in short, yes, it does weigh on you. You know, you're sitting there at, 11 o'clock at night before shift or something like that, and someone texts you, you know, so you're like, man, I got to answer this phone call, or I got to answer this text message. So there are more sleepless nights, you know, but we're grateful for that, you know. But some of the stories, man, like I hurt for them because they're hurting, you know, and I don't know, I guess you can't explain it, but it's the brotherhood as a whole. Mm-hmm. You know, when one thing impacts, a brother, I mean, it impacts us all, you know. So
well, that's what I mean.
I think that's very burdensome, at points, you know. Right. And man, yeah, it's really heavy, especially depending on what their situation is or what they're going through. You know, I mean, it's in your mind because you're trying to help walk them through this situation and be there for them and be their support and their guidance at that time, and like you said, I'm not a professional counselor. I don't claim to be, but we're definitely going to do our damnedest to help everyone that we can and walk them through that time. I mean, right. We want them to be able to lean on someone. So the fact that they can lean on us and walk through that and hopefully see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely burdensome. It's definitely very heavy at times. And, I mean, Charlie and I will talk, back and forth like, man, this one's heavy, and we don't really go into the details of it because, like we said, we want to keep everything anonymous. But, there's sometimes like, man, like this one's rough. And sometimes we even have to tell people like, dude, man, this sucks. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Like, what you just told me, like, that sucks, man. Like, I can't tell you anything else. I'm sorry, but I want to let you know that you don't have to do this by yourself. Right. And we mean that. We're going to walk with them through every trial that they're going through at that moment and help them see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because the truth is, I mean, every storm comes to an end. It's just a storm that you got to weather through. And we tell people all the time, it's not worth making a permanent decision over something that's temporary that you're going through. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly what it is, right? Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Correct. And that's the sad part of it. And I think what happens is they just feel that there's no options, when in fact there are options. Yeah, they just need someone to help show them what those options are. Absolutely, yeah. So would you say that's the core of your mission is to save lives? Oh, definitely, man. I mean, I mean, by far, like that's our biggest mission. And I mean, if we can save a life, then I mean, great. I mean, it continues to, I guess, alleviate that issue more and more, the issue that we face with the mental health aspect of it. We want people to know that there is hope, I mean, you have someone that is willing to listen to you, to bounce ideas off of and walk with you through it and say, hey, we can do this together. So saving lives. I mean, obviously, saving lives right. is our goal as a whole. In what we do in our career and with this aspect of what we do at Next Rung. So, bro, let me ask you: was there ever a time that you got off the phone with somebody and you're like thinking to yourself, man, I don't know if I take this all on, because at the same time you have your job, your career, then you have your own family, right, and you have your own problems per se. Like everyone has problems, but I don't mean problems, but just daily life, bills and responsibilities and all that, just schedule. Have you ever gotten off the phone with somebody and been like, man, this is a lot. Like I really been into something
huge here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are some days that are just like that. You're like, I don't know if I can handle one more person texting me, and so thankfully there's more than one of us answering the phone. But even then, like, I mean, there's some days where Charlie and I just like we couldn't manage
because it's only you and Charlie answering the phone, correct?
Yeah, and we have one of our other guys who was helping, and he just went through Fire Academy with Aurora, so he kind of backed away from that. So he should be back now because he just graduated yesterday.
Oh, congrats.
Congrats to Louis Disney on graduating. So he's a rookie there in Aurora. So, but we should have him back now. We're actually going to expand our team with a couple more people.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, there's some days I'm just like, I don't even know what to say sometimes, and I just try to sit down and process it, and and that's
because you got to be careful what you say.
You do, and that's what I tell people. And like, listen, this is what works for me personally. I don't know if it's gonna work for you because everyone's not the same. We don't all process information the same. It doesn't impact you the same way that it impacts me.
Correct.
But I mean, I've had my my big call to me, that I think about. And, I mentioned that I work for Sandy Springs full-time, work for Newton County part-time, which is the county that I live in. Normally about 3 times a month is kind of what it works out to. Sometimes 4, once a week is ish. Anyway, but I mean, so I think about my call, my most recent one, and, just like, listen, man, like for the first 4 days, like 5 days or whatever it may be, 3 or 4 days, a week, whatever it may be, like I'm pissed off, man. Like I get upset, I get angry, I'm frustrated, and obviously my wife knows me, and she's like, she knows what's going on, so she kind of gives me my space or whatever, and she's like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But so then, like, after that, I just, after being frustrated and being angry and pissed off, like, I have to slow myself down. Like, all right, let's process, what happened. It sucked, it's sad. And, but I just walked back through the call, and I asked myself, I was like, really, like, is there anything more that you could have done?
So glad you said that.
Yeah.
Man.
So I mean, that's what I ask myself,
yes.
and I answer myself, and I'm like, I mean, even if I had a doctor right beside me, if I had an OR room beside me, if I had all the supplies in the world, like in that case, the call that I ran, he still wouldn't have made it, man. Like, right. It's just a terrible incident. Like, I mean, it's just one of those freak things, and it's just like, you just don't understand, and there's some things I tell people, like, you're not going to understand. Like, there's not going to be an answer for it, And
the reality is we're not going to save everyone.
Right. No, you can't.
We're not going to save everyone. And that's that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's self-evaluation.
Yeah.
I think more people need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you said the best word, process.
Yeah.
Like, you need to process your incident,
mm-hmm.
and you need to tell yourself, and, like you said, did I do everything I possibly could have done?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you didn't do everything you possibly could have done, you tried.
You can still learn from that,
right?
too.
You tried, and you self-evaluate, and
yeah.
I like that you said that, because I believe in that too.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
I have to do that. I mean, that's the way that I process it, and I mean, it's important to me, that I go back and walk through it, and I let that call drive me to, instead of moaning and groaning and complaining about the call that I have to wake up for at 3 o'clock in the morning that's insignificant, like, hey, man, like, you have the potential to impact someone's life. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but I mean, it's the truth. Like, I'm there 24 hours. I get paid to be there. Like, this is my job. Like, I need to do it. And like, I have to remind myself, like, man, just be there for that person. Yeah, it sucks because you got to wake up at 3 in the morning and they stub their toe, or whatever it may be. It's, kind of insignificant. But I remember the calls where I couldn't do anything else. Well, this person, I can do something. They're still alive. They're breathing. I can be there to help them, So I'll let those past calls drive me and motivate me to give my best and my all at all times, And like every firefighter or whatever, you naturally complain, I roll my eyes at that because you're like, oh, not another call, But I wouldn't change it, man. I love it. So... but yeah, I mean, I do think it's important for us to process it, and everyone does that differently. I know I'm different than everyone else. But I choose to let those calls drive me to do more. And, you know, and I tell people, and I do this myself, like, allow your emotion to show. Like, I mean, don't hide it from yourself. Like, if you're pissed off, be pissed off. If you're angry, be angry. Like, that's natural. Like, the grieving process, or like, well, why am I grieving someone that I didn't know?
Right.
Like, I didn't know this kid that died. You know, I didn't know the other kid that got, you know, hit by that car with them. I mean, the call that I ran, man, and it'll stick with me. You know, I try to remove the emotion from it, but it's a story that's going to impact me. And it's hard too, man. It was right before Thanksgiving, and there's two kids playing in the garage, and they were looking for a hamster that got out. And this guy who ended up running off the roadway, he was actually intoxicated, man. He ran off the roadway, hit the garage, hit the van that was in the garage. And one kid got trapped under the van, the other kid got pinned against a wall, and man, I've never seen anything like it, you know, and in my career, you know, and to me, so that's by far been my worst call, you know, and I don't know, obviously you don't forget those types of things, you know, like I said, I try to remove the emotion from it and just allow it to be a story that's part of my testimony and my experience. But I mean, I still ride by that scene, you know, when I'm running calls with my part-time department and things like that. So it's kind of hard to forget, you know, and things like that, man. But I mean, literally did everything that we could for one of the kids that was there, man. There's literally just nothing we could do, man. The other kid has gone through a lot of surgeries and things like that. He ended up breaking both legs. I mean, shattered them from the waist down. And but he's alive and well. I mean, he you know, so I mean, there's good and bad parts from it and things like that. But, you know, I share that, man, because we've been there. Like, I mean, we're not just here just trying to be someone that we're not, or to say, oh, you know, we want to be here to help people. Like, we live the same things that people live through. We have the same job that everyone else does. And yes, we do have our experiences, you know. Charlie shared a little bit of his buddy Corey Iverson, who died in the line of duty on the wildfire out in California, down where he's from. And I mean, that's a big part of his story. Like that was someone he went through rookie school with at Cal Fire before he moved on to where he works now at Glendale. But I mean, he even talked about, he's like he was on the fire. I didn't know he was on the fire, but as soon as I heard, he's like, I called to make sure that he was okay, and he didn't answer the phone. Like, dude, I mean, that's a huge part of who we are, and we don't want to share those stories and be like, oh yeah, I have my story too. Like, I'm not trying to one up people, but to say, hey, we understand, like, we live through the same things that you have experienced, and we want to walk with you through your time, because, you know, we've made it through ours, and we've walked through our tough times, and these aren't the only tough times that we're going to experience in our career and things like that. So anyway, man, so as a whole, we just want to be there to share that experience with them, and you know, just continue to do that as many times as we can. Last year we walked 45 people through our peer support process. You know, this year we're probably at 30 or so right now.
Wow.
You know, so it's definitely on the, I guess, the charts uphill, to outrank last year. So, and we're grateful for that.
You know, it's funny you said that, you know, everyone has their own experiences and no one wants to one up each other, but I don't think it is that. You know, I agree with you. I don't think it is. I think what happens is people tell their stories. For example, you were just telling me your story about that incident, which is difficult. I don't envy. It's tough. That's a tough one. But it's amazing to me, because while you're telling me that story, it instantly brought me to an incident I was involved in. Sure. Instantly. And I think that's back to what we were saying earlier when you say that we understand each other. So I'm listening to your story, and immediately my subconscious is like, you know, brings me right back to my story. So I think it's interesting in the fact that I think that's why we understand each other, and that's why we trust each other. I think that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah. And we have people ask those questions like, hey, I mean, have you experienced it? Yeah, we have, you know, and they start telling their story, and they trust us because of that. You know, they're not necessarily looking for details, but they're definitely trying to validate us and who we are, which I don't blame them for that, because people have talked to people who they tell a story to, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know what to tell you, you know, and, you know, so they haven't walked through that process, you know, and, you know, but I mean, as a whole, you know, I think our goal is if we can just make this a normal part of
Just everyday discussion.
Everyday discussion, your everyday, station life, things like that.
Yep.
And, a lot of people look to their officer for that, but as anyone, man, like you talked about sitting down at the round table, drinking a cup of coffee, like, dude, everyone's equal. That's a equal playing field. Like, you have the opportunity, just like the senior guy or, the driver, chauffeur, or your officer, your lieutenant, captain, whoever it may be. Like, I mean, the truth is when it's a bad call. Maybe it's not impacting you in the same way that it's impacting someone else, but you can look at a call and the details of it, you're like, dude, that was a crappy call. Like that was terrible. And you have the opportunity after that, and after everything settles down, you get back to the station. Hey, guys, I mean, I just want to say that was a crappy call. If you want to talk about it, like I'm here for you. And that's all you have to say.
Absolutely.
It's not trying to like hide it or, just get away from it or ignore it. But I mean, that one sentence right there, that one phrase right there, dude, could save somebody's life,
because it's at least opening a dialogue.
Right. And it's making it normal, so, that's one of the things that I charge officers. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, that's their crew. Like they're in charge of those guys. Like, man, just one second out of your day, or a minute out of your day, after a crappy call that really sucked. Hey guys, that was a sucky call. If you need to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they don't. Or if they don't want to talk about it right then, at least they know that that's an opportunity. They can come back and say, hey, Lou, hey, Cap, I want to talk about that call. Or if it's their senior guy, hey, man, you mind if I talk to you about that call? Whatever it may be, But if we make it normal for them, I mean, it just continues to create that normality and normalcy throughout, the entire station, the, department, and so on. So we can only change where we are, I think, and if we can change the immediate influence that we have, I mean, that's great.
Absolutely, man.
So,
you know what I love? The very first roundtable that you're going to see shortly was done in Indianapolis, in Indy. And it was great because I got to tell you, man, I was surrounded by such great people. Honestly, I mean, the people around that table we had that day.
Awesome, man.
I loved when we started to talk, man. And Tony, I love Tony, man.
Dude, he's awesome.
He
man.
is such a good guy.
He's a big hitter, dude. Like
he
for
is,
us,
man.
and
you know what?
For Axhead,
the minute I met that guy and just started talking to him, like immediately you like him.
Yeah.
You know. But I loved how he said, for him, Indy is so important because, you're hugging guys and talking to guys and sharing experiences with them, because you realize that you may not get that hug again next year.
Yeah.
Our job is so dangerous. You
So
just
true,
don't.
man.
You just don't know. And when he said it, it hit me. You're like, wow, he's right. Like we're talking to people like we're just talking.
Yeah.
And then next year at this very same time, this chair might be empty. And it's just to me, when that's the reality of what we do. And I think that's what makes us bond so well together. Because people so often tell me, and now that I have the show. Believe it or not, we have a lot of people that view the show that aren't firefighters, which I was shocked to hear that, and really shocked to hear that.
But everybody loves firefighters, man.
Yeah,
So they're like, I want to watch that. Yeah.
I have a couple people that watch and they're not firefighters, and I ask, because I ask questions. I said, what? Just out of curiosity, why are you watching?
Yeah.
Because you're not a firefighter. What's your interest? And they just say, I just find it so interesting, your work, and it's interesting to hear your guests and what they have to say and how people talk about what they do and hearing the story. People love hearing the stories, of course, but it's interesting, to hear that. But what I mean by that is, these people who are watching now, they have a better understanding of what we're doing, or maybe what we're dealing with, right? So Blake, let me ask you this in closing. Where do you see Next Rung in the next 5 years? Where do you see it? What's your goal?
Man, that's a loaded question, I think. Obviously, to continue doing what we're doing, we don't want to change anything about that. We love our mission. I think we have 3 great things that we do, which is the peer support, the financial assistance for licensed counseling, and then, giving back to families of first responders who've taken their life by suicide. So I think we have our work cut out for us there already. Man, just to grow it and make it more of an impact, and I say to grow, and it's not just for numbers or anything like that, but if we can help more people, obviously we want to grow and expand our team to be able to maintain that steady growth of it being okay for people to open up and talk and things like that. So, we just want to increase that. We want to increase the people who are part of our organization, and we have a lot of those people in place, and we're just trying to do it just over time and do it well. So I think we just want to maintain that. Like, we want to be solid in everything that we do. We want to provide the best service to people. So we definitely want to make that a point and a purpose, just to give these people the time and attention that they need while they are sharing their story with us. But I think growth-wise, man, there's things that I would love to see for us. One of the things that we are looking into doing is developing a peer support class that we can teach.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're working with Amanda Walden, who's the licensed counselor that I was talking about that serves on our board. We're going to be working on that together.
Great.
So we're going to teach some of our people that class first and kind of get all the kinks worked out, and make sure that it's solid across the board, and then be able to take that to another department or organization and things like that. So if we can teach that, because the truth and the honest side of it, I guess, is there's not a curriculum, so to speak. There's not a license that you have to be as a peer support provider. But I think as we continue to gain experience and grow in that, we have a very good insight into what that should look like. So, we want to be able to replicate that and show that to other people and teach them to provide that peer support and get people interested in that. And so that's starting to grow. And one of the things I would also love to do, and Charlie and I have talked about this, and I've talked about it with some guys that I know, is at some point we'd love to do some sort of retreat for people that we've helped.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so every person that we help, we maintain their information, their name, obviously, address, phone number, email, things like that. So hopefully one of the three is still the same. We can get in contact with them. But to provide some sort of retreat, where we take maybe 4 or 5 people, from the year, or out of the people that we help, we do a drawing, and we could take them on a trip, fly them all into the same place and, hang out for a few days.
Come to Jersey, eat pork roll.
Yeah, come to Jersey, eat some pork roll, and tell them that they better call it that or they have to leave. No. But just stuff like that, and I see ourselves from the people that we've helped, God willing, and we continue to raise the support and things like that, because we have incredible, followers and incredible, we call them Next Rung family that continue to support us. But as that grows, and I would obviously love to capture people's stories more, people that we have walked through the peer support process, or that we've paid for their licensed counseling that they're receiving and things like that, to just go and capture their stories, kind of like what you're doing right now. Obviously, it'd be a more condensed version, and get, just some tape of them talking with us about their story, and just allowing people to use our platform, and that's one of the things too that we have seen is we don't just help the first responder, but we help their families, because we give back to them, we show them that we're here, and we support them. So, the spouse that's lost their husband, the wife that's lost her husband, hey, and I tell them, I was like, listen, I know what you're going through right now is tough, but when you are ready to share your story, our platform is your platform. Like, we want you to be able to share your story and say, hey, you got to speak up, you got to speak out, you got to ask for help, and one of the ladies that we've been working with, and we've gotten her counseling, her boyfriend took his life, and I believe she was actually in the house when it happened, so that's very traumatic, but just, allowing her to heal and go through that process, and then, allow her to share her story of, hey, this impacts us, after you're gone, this impacts us, reach out for help, and just allow them to encourage people, because they're viewing it from a completely different aspect than what we are. I mean, they're the family, and we believe family is important, and we will always want to keep that number one as well. So I say that we're not here just for the first responder, but we're here for their family as well, their immediate family, their spouses and their children. So if they ever need help, then just the same as the first responder. We're going to give them the help that they need and give them a fighting chance as well. So, I think those are kind of some of the things that we just want to continue to add to the table and make a difference. So
that's great, man. Well, listen,
hopefully that answered your question.
It did, and I'll tell you that you've certainly made an impact in the fire service. Whether you believe that or not, you have. You continue to do that, and that was evident to me at FDIC, because walking around and seeing many people in that arena there, a lot of Next Rung shirts, a lot of Next Rung hats, and they're not just buying a brand; they believe in what you're doing, and I believe in what you're doing, and I know there were people here today, that just here in Jersey that believe in what you're doing. Man. So continue to do it, man. You and Charlie are killing it. It's good to see that you're so motivated and you're so positive about keeping us alive and keeping it moving, and again, the mission is so important. So just keep doing what you're doing, man.
We're just fun-loving guys. I know the topic that we talk about is like, oh, so exciting, but I mean, man, we love to joke and cut up with the best of them, but we also know that the topic that we're discussing isn't one that's super exciting to talk about at the moment. Hopefully that changes and it becomes a normal thing and people are excited about talking and things like that, but I do want people to know, man, like we're just like everybody. We're normal people. We love cutting up, having fun and things like that, but we also view this as a serious issue that we want to tackle. So
because it is.
It definitely is.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for everything, man. Just everything you're doing, just keep doing it. We're going to continue to support what you're doing. I'll continue. And every guest, because you've watched the show, every guest we see, every guest we interview, I give them a Next Rung 5x7 so that they know what's going on and they know. And it's good too, because I tell them, I ask them, how many firehouses do you have? We have 2. Great. I give them 2.
Yeah.
One for this house and one for that house. So if anybody has any questions, it's all confidential. They can look it up. And even if you have an EAP, which is great, everyone should have an EAP. But if you don't, at least they have this too. So it's a start. So before you leave, I got some stuff for you. Which
sweet, man.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to give you our challenge coin. So because Chief Miller, you know who he is, right? So Chief Miller was nice enough to support the program and support this platform, and by doing so, he made these challenge coins for me.
Awesome,
so I have one for you.
Got another one to add to my holder.
Yeah, that's right. And you can't go out without a reflective decal.
Heck yeah.
Those are from Elite, right here at Elite. Nice. They make that. Yeah, made that.
It.
Yeah, and then Sal from Eagle Emblems, you met him today.
Yeah, I did get to meet him.
That was so cool
really
that you got to meet him, right?
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool, because that patch he gives to me, everybody that goes on the show, he was awesome. A big part of, and he was excited to meet you today, because I've been telling him about you, and then with the shirts and stuff, when I had the shirts.
Super nice guy, man.
Yeah. He was all about it, so it was good that he got to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode is sponsored by Elite Emergency Solutions. So it's Elite Blue Line. So that is their very fancy truck here behind us.
There's a hat up here too.
Yeah, there's a hat. But real quick on Elite, Nate at Elite here, and Chris Hansen and Nate, that today, like everything that happened today, obviously would not have been possible without those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, not only did they clear out their shop for us, and you see how busy they are.
Dude,
here.
They got all kind of stuff going on in here, man. It's insane.
Not only did they completely clear out their bay for us, but they donated all the food. They made sure we had tables and chairs for everybody. I mean, completely just awesome. Blew my mind how awesome.
Super nice guys, man.
Message board outside. Yeah. They had the tower ladder show up from Lakewood Fire Department with the flag.
Awesome,
flag detail. I mean, it was just, I'm not going to lie to you. When I went outside before this whole thing started, and I saw the message board and the tower ladder with the flag and everything, I got a little emotional. I'm like, man, this is all for us. Like
great
this
support,
whole,
man.
It was all good stuff to see, and then it made me feel like, man, this is like we're doing something here. I feel like we're actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're actually making a difference, and that to me was special. So that was only possible because of the efforts of Chris Hansen and Nate here at Elite. So I want to thank those guys very much for everything they did
Thank you guys.
for us, making this happen and making this a possibility. The vendors who showed up, that took time out of the day to be here, you saw they didn't make any money. They didn't make any money.
But they were still happy, dude. Like,
Yeah.
great people, man. Got to talk with some of them. They're like, hey, man, hit us up. And if you need anything, let us know. So
Yeah, it was good to see. So for me, the important thing today was it wasn't about the money. It was about the cause. And for me, that made it all worth it.
Yeah.
It made it all worth it for me. So thanks again, Next Rung. Make sure you're checking them out. It's nextrung.org.
correct.
Your Instagram.
Yep.
Right.
Next_Rung.
Next_Rung on Instagram. And you also have a Facebook page.
We do. It's Next Rung Fire. So
Next Run Fire on
Yeah.
Facebook. So those are the platforms you can go to. Again, make sure you check out their website, see what they're doing. And already, because you've been following my show, that Next Rung is a big part of what we're doing too. Yeah. So that was good. This is coming at you on YouTube. So make sure if you haven't already subscribed and you're watching us right now on YouTube, just hit that little red button right down there below that says subscribe so you can see these episodes that are coming out on your way. Be sure to check out our website, which is PintheQ.com, which is actually just updated. So you enjoy that. And we have some more to come. So like always, stay safe, be careful, and look out for each other.